United States President Donald Trump's latest initiatives have excited everyone as a hope to end the war in Ukraine. To this end, Donald Trump had a sensational phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin. After this call, Mr. Trump signaled that negotiations would start immediately. Ukraine and Europe were wondering how peace would be achieved in this process. For the peace negotiations, Donald Trump had completely pushed Europe aside. Europe was unhappy with these moves of Trump and Zelensky. Considering Europe's relations with Russia, Turkey was the first country that came to mind when it was mentioned about negotiations. Now, Zelensky is in Turkey. Of course, this is happening with the consent and approval of the United States. So what can Erdogan and Trump do for peace in Ukraine? Which agenda items will be on the table during Zelensky's talks in Ankara? And what role will Trump's "end the war now" rhetoric play in this picture? And what challenges will Erdogan's moves pose for Moscow? First of all, let's take a very short flashback to the events leading up to the start of the peace process. It was claimed that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had an important deal with Donald Trump if United States military aid continued. According to this agreement, Ukraine will give the United States its natural resources. In return, the United States would provide Ukraine with military aid. The question of what Russia would get was on the agenda. There was talk of the possibility that 4 regions of Ukraine and the Crimean Peninsula would be ceded to Russia on a peaceful basis. Russian sovereignty in the Black Sea was a major problem for the coastal European countries. North Atlantic Treaty Organization member Turkey, in particular, had skillfully used the Montreux Treaty to prevent Russian naval ships from passing through the Bosphorus and Dardanelles since the beginning of the war. With the prospect of Crimea being ceded to the Russians, Turkey stepped in again as peace talks between Kiev and Moscow were underway, a move that Vladimir Putin did not expect. It has emerged that Turkish leader Erdogan will begin talks with Volodymyr Zelensky, including on the latest developments in Ukraine and efforts to strengthen bilateral ties. Zelensky is reportedly currently in Turkey. It was announced that the talks between the two leaders will start on Tuesday, February 18th. It is estimated that the basis of the meeting will be issues such as reviewing the relations in all dimensions and discussing the steps that can be taken to further strengthen the cooperation between the two countries. Erdogan and Zelensky coming together, especially these days, was probably the last thing Putin would have wanted. But now the talks have started, and now we will discuss in detail what Turkey can do for Ukraine right now, how it can end this war.